Well. Good morning, West Ham fans. Russ for the West Ham Network. Hope you are well. Anyway, I'm back. Another morning musings, whispering Budden. And for anyone new to the channel, a couple of times a week. Obviously, I'm in the office nice and early, and so it gives me time to think, time to breathe, and we do sort of more of a brain dump, a trail of consciousness. Around West Ham, around the topic, and we open up to discussion with you guys. And um, I thought what was interesting was an interview that our former director of football, Tim Steidten, gave yesterday. I think it came out. Was it yesterday? I believe so. With Sports Germany. Obviously, no, he's very good friends with Fulk and Piltenberg, and there's a couple of interesting points which I think is sort of exemplify the issues we're having at the moment. The first one was in terms of how clubs are run, and he was asked quite candidly the differences between how he was. So I'm just putting my power thinking before my power runs out. The differences between his experiences at Bayer Leverkusen and at West Ham, and to be honest, Tim didn't hold back, and and he's got no reason not to hold back. He's had a full payoff. He's not, clearly he's not on an NDA. And he was saying, the main difference is in Germany, clubs are clearly structured. In England, on the other hand, many clubs are run by owners. The owner not only brings in his money, but he's also very emotionally involved. There's not many clubs which are owned by owners as such. A lot of clubs are owned by consortiums and stuff like that. So I think we can assume there's a slight dig there. And it was, for me, it was always, there was a lot of excitement when Steidten came in, but it was always going to be flawed because of the way the club was structured. And as he said, the fact is, it's owned, so to speak, by owners, and they do get emotionally involved. And it did really highlight to me how we still see, I think it was such a poor decision to not have a replacement director of football. I think it's poor decision. I mean, even when all is said and done, when we look at Tim Steiden's time at West Ham, very much he got deals done. Not 100%, not 100% record, and actually, what was quite interesting was he was asked about Niclas Füllkrug, and I genuinely believe a fit Füllkrug this year is gonna tear it up in the Premier League. I really do. Seeing the pre-season sort of little videos, he looks fit, he looks lean, he looks determined. I think he's one of those players who once he knows that last year was a disappointment, and he seems a model professional, and I think throughout last, and maybe I might have a look at the stats later on, but when he was on the pitch, we looked a better side than when he was off the pitch, because it allowed the likes of Bowen, allows the likes of Kudus, that central point, he could link it up well, and I think we were returning Somerville as well. And again, you look at that sort of that video yesterday that the club released. Somerville's balancing on one foot, hitting the ball, smiling. I just can't see how, unless it's purely a fitness issue, he's not going to be, because he was doing like quite extensive training for someone who's, apparently not going to be back until for another 2.5 months. So, yeah, I think that it goes to prove that, stuff is, things are leaked in the press, which I want to be leaked to the press, whether that's by the club, whether that's by an agent, whether it's by Tim Steidten as well. He said that, he was talking about Niclas Füllkrug deal, and he was saying, something like 22 million euros that the deal went for. So it wasn't the 28, 29 million pounds or 27 million pounds that we were quoted for. It was almost 7.5, 8 million quid less, which puts that purchase in a different bracket for me. When if you anything between 25 and 30 million pounds, that very much is a not marquee signing, but a significant signing. Arguably within sort of the 15 to 20 million pounds nowadays, that's kind of pump money really now. And to buy a German international for 18 million quid or 19 million quid, that seems a bit of more of a better buy than spending £27 million on them. And again, so and that's come out not from an ITK or from a mouthpiece. It's come out from the person who actually did the deal, in terms of Tim Steidten. So again, things can be manipulated. I was listening to Nick and Clout and Booze yesterday, and he was saying how the sort of the Kudus thing, and how he's only wanted to talk to Spurs, and that how that's been arrived is via ITKs and journalists who people listen to, and it's true. And the ITKs will only get information that the club want to give me information for. They're very, very they are very, very secretive, and I know that firsthand. I know stuff. There's a lot of stuff which I've actually seen, and discussions I've heard, just by walking around the club, and all the academy or Rush Green and things like that. They want you to know what you want them to know. So, when you see things get released like the Kudus thing, I have no doubt that Kudus doesn't just want Tottenham. Don't forget, before he joined West Ham, he was very close to joining Chelsea. Very close. And actually, Chelsea, that deal fell through, and then we capitalised on that. Similarly, if he's led to believe he's willing to take a pay cut to go to Liverpool. So, the narrative is presented to you, and obviously we're all human beings. We've all got brains, and we can all sort of take everything with a pinch of salt. Which is why when we do the rumours, and people I've had people message me recently, "Oh, why are you doing these rumours? Got no fucking money." Well, they're rumours, and that's what they are in itself. And we take everything on face value, break it down, and then apply logical thinking behind it. It's same as you do in your day-to-day work, but for some reason, because it's football, it's a bit different, and everyone looks at things on face value. Okay, oh, he definitely wants to join Tottenham. We finished below him in the league. He's not stupid, as well. Yes, they're in the Champions League, but at the moment they're the only game in town in terms of people who are willing to put money on the table for Kudus. Same as now for Ged and various others as well. I thought it was really interesting, that Tim Steidten interview, because it just sort of shows how there's. I think we're getting, if it doesn't work, and it might work for a couple. I think we still have this sort of old school mentality in terms of how football clubs are run. The modern football club is not run the way we run our football club. Our football club is run. Now there's a lot of negatives for that. There could be some positives as well, potentially. In fact, whoever's head coach feels like they have true ownership of it, in terms of they have their team and that type of thing. But if it all goes tits up, it goes back to the drawing board again. That's the issue. It's that continuity which we won't have without a director of football. Now, some say we do have a director of football, because we do. We have a sporting director in Mark Noble, but I think his role is not necessarily the same role that Tim Steidten had. His role is very much pathway and academy progression, which actually is a significant part of our business strategy. Obviously, getting these young players through the academy. If they can get into the first team, great. But if not, selling them on, because that is profit, 100% profit. Unless obviously we bought them out their contracts, we bought them from a club and stuff like that. But if they've come from, you've seen the new scholars that have come through yesterday, and a lot of them were here since under nines. So if they make it into becoming a professional football player, and then going into maybe being sold, if they don't make it into first team, that's profit. But that may be some way down the line. I mean, case in point, yesterday, I think it was Sean, I'm just bringing this up now, Sean on Clanton Hughes said that West Ham need to find £40 million by next week, or refinance the bank loan. So everyone's gone into panic mode. Oh, we need to find £40 million this week, or refinance the bank loan. This happens very regularly with West Ham. They borrowed £40 million from Barclays last summer, secured against future Premier League payments, as they do every year. The terms of the short-term load it takes, the money must be paid by the 15th, which is next Tuesday. The club borrowed another £5 million in August, to help with further developments of the Russ Green training facilities. The porta cabins are going basically, and permanent buildings have been erected. If you went to see the academy at Rush Green, you'd have seen that. So there we go. That's the reason why it's good to go to watch the academy matches at Rush Green, because you can see the development and see what's been built. And this is in the past. West Ham have borrowed cash each summer before turning to High Street Bank, who charges 9% interest to football clubs. The most likely outcomes, the Hammers will enter a new short-term bank loan to assist cash flow by finding a bank with the lowest interest rate. That's it. But everyone's read that open line going, we need to find 40 million quid. That's it. That's it. We're done. Or it's like when your credit card comes to the end of it's 0%. You find another credit card to then pay that, and then we get sucked in, don't we? Because we're passionate. We're passionate about football. We're passionate about West Ham, so we get sucked in. And if it was any other situation that wasn't West Ham, we'd probably take it in more. What's the word? More level-headedly. That's not a word, but you know what I mean. There wouldn't be some emotion attached to it, because it's emotion. It's our club. We want our club to do well, and we want our club to succeed, and we want to see good players, and we want to see good football. All that's up, all the above. But because we see something, we go, that's it. Which is why I think it's really useful to step back and sort of assess things every so often. And at the moment, it seems that the way our club structure is, it could have a detrimental. It could do. It might not have a detrimental effect. Potter might be successful for years and years and years to come, and that's great. But it might not. In the same way. I've had enough. That's enough wobbling on for me today. That is a real trail of consciousness. But I like talking to you guys like this because it's a bit different. It's not so structured, and we find it's so difficult to try and do live shows at the moment, just because life is manic at the moment. So these are opportunities to just have a one-to-one sort of chat with you. But I'd love to get your comments below, because that's where the real discussion happens. It's just me. I'm a fat bloke, talking to a webcam, in central London. But it's that discussion with you guys, that interaction with you guys. It's why we've just hit over 27,000 subscribers on the channel, because there's a real sense of community as well. And as I said, we've had a couple of guys win the monthly draws for our members. And actually, speaking of that, tonight, Old School Hammers, Budgie and Kieran, I think Darren Blewett's coming on, so that'll be a really good chat. Daz is a great boy, lovely chat, really kind gentleman. So go and show some love to Budgie and Kieran tonight, 10 p.m. rather, UK time. Anyway, take care, stay safe, stay warm, stay humble, stay warm, stay hydrated. Much love. Bye bye.